Every year on Amazing Spaces, I've been lucky enough to travel far and wide. Oh my word. This is just ridiculously beautiful to see the incredible architecture that other countries have to offer. But in these strange times, we've been confined to our own shores more than ever. Fortunately, our country is home for many people from virtually every nationality on the planet. And that made me realise that you can go on a tour of the world without having to leave these fair isles. From Italy, it's breathtaking, to the Far East. And just look how idyllic that is. You literally could be in Japan. There are cheetahs just there on the other side of that little bit of glass. I won't need my passport, as inspiration from around the world is right here on our doorstep. Stupefacente.
What's that?
Amazing. Scotland has some breathtaking landscapes, and the Isle of Skye is no exception. Just look at it. You might be fooled into thinking that you're walking along a Scandinavian coastline. It's so stunning. Well, today, we're about to visit a rural retreat that blends in beautifully into these surroundings. And when you see it, you're going to feel like you've taken a leap into Norway. Here, you could be forgiven for thinking these inlets and peninsulas are Scandinavian. This unique Hebridean build celebrates the strong relationship between Scotland and Norway that spanned over 1,000 years. Oh, there it is, the longhouse. And it beautifully blends in with the Scottish landscape. You've got this gorgeous dry stone wall around the outside of the house, but the whole building is clad in larch, and over the years it's weathered and changed colour and merged with Mother Nature. It's too beautiful. I don't think I've ever said that about a view in my life, but it just is. And the interior doesn't disappoint either. Oh, what a beautiful space. It's so long, 20 metres from one end to the other, and it's completely open plan, apart from these two Venetian plastered grey blocks to just give some zone to the big space. This style of building can be dated back to 793 AD, when Norwegian Vikings invaded. The Vikings loved big, long, open-plan buildings designed so everyone could gather together. This inspired the Scots, who took on the same style but called them black houses. And what a view. It takes your breath away. You can see for miles across the lochs to the beautiful Scottish mountains beyond. So dramatic. The contrast between the rugged shoreline and the contemporary warmth inside evokes a strong feeling of hygge, the Scandinavian term for coziness. Another longhouse placed parallel to this one has been subdivided into a luxurious bathroom and bedrooms. But what the architects have done was, rather than having both of the longhouses right next to each other, this one at the back, they've just pushed it out. And by pushing it out means that this master bedroom gets that beautiful view of the loch and the mountains. Simple shift changes the architecture. There are two things that people generally assume characterises Norwegian architecture. The first is that a lot of Norwegian buildings are closely connected with nature. And second, that Norwegian architects are very good at designing and building buildings made of wood. But I think what this longhouse proves is that the Scots are just as good. Up next is a build that takes us on a historical journey, which really begins in the former region of Persia, where so many countries have been inspired by their architecture. We are about to delve into a Moroccan oasis in the heart of the Cotswolds. This Moorish-inspired pavilion, built in 2014, sits in the grounds of Cheetah Lodge in Oxfordshire. This is beautiful and a little bit surreal. You feel like you could be in Morocco, but we're in the Cotswolds. It was inspired by the owner's travels to the Alhambra in southern Spain, a vast palace fortress complex dating back to the 9th century, considered to be one of the finest examples of Moorish architecture in Europe. It's just incredible. I'm a massive fan of courtyard buildings, of beautiful pavilions where the architecture kind of wraps around you. Of mixed Arab, Spanish and Berber origins, the Moors created what became known as the Islamic Andalusian civilization, and their influence can be seen in the design here, from abstract geometry to colourful tilework and classic Moorish arches. Got the details spot on everywhere, from the lovely channels of water coming into the central fountain to those beautiful pointed arches. And down the long sides of the courtyard, you can get up close to the fantastic stonework. The capitals on the top of the column are exact replicas from the Court of Lions at the Alhambra. And then down here, you've got the famous 8-pointed star, also known as the Islamic star. It's been used in many cultures all over the world, but the first country to actually use it on its flag was Morocco in 1258. I was captivated by Moorish architecture from a young age. In fact, its courtyards and characteristics inspired me to become an architect. Inside, all around the walls, you've got pink polished plaster. So typical of Moroccan design. And as if a pavilion wasn't enough, they've even got their own hammam or steam room. And it's really hot. This is super, super hot. It's got beautiful tiling, very intricately done. And then this very deep blue barrel vaulted ceiling. This might feel like a slice of Morocco, but what I love about it, it's actually been inspired by so many different cultures and countries from across the globe. And I have to say, it's an absolute marvel. This week, I'm in Africa.
Look at those horns, they're beautiful. Look, oh, they're amazing big eyes.
And Will is joining me as my guide. But we haven't had to travel to another continent for this experience. Actually, we're not far from Kidderminster at the West Midlands Safari Park. Of course, it's not just the amazing animals we're interested in. Look at it. It's brilliant. This is one of 8 lodges newly completed this year. I know we've seen lots of cabins and lots of lovely buildings in great locations, but that just doesn't feel like it's in Britain at all, does it?
It's true. I mean, the form is not that different from a sort of English traditional build. It's just the details, the heather roof and these, you know, wonderful pieces of coppice above, having a bit of a veranda, and of course some tropical plants.
If it wasn't for the overcast English weather, we could be convinced we're in Tanzania. Well, this is just incredible. There are cheetahs. I mean, just there on the other side of that little bit of glass.
You almost feel like you could just go and touch them. They're right there.
To be able to sit here and look out and see 2 beautiful cheetahs day and night is just amazing. That's why I love the simplicity of the architecture. The fact that the roof slopes up. So then you've got the big picture windows. It's, from that doorway, it's like throwing your eyes out towards the cheetahs. And the windows themselves, being so huge, are just incredible, really. I could literally sit here for hours and hours just watching them.
Does make you want to cuddle them, though, doesn't it? Just to stroke their fur.
Me, not so much. No, I'm all right, actually. These lodges are designed to give a fully immersive experience. Here, guests enjoy the company of these feline beauties 24/7.
How cool is this?
that is a proper amazing spaces, isn't it? How can you get lots of beds into a single but fairly high space? Double bed beneath, 2 singles, lovely timber frame.
It's really good, isn't it?
And just as you're going to bed, you're just literally nodding off and you look round and you're like, there's a cheetah. I'm literally going to sleep at the same time as a cheetah. What an experience for everyone, to be honest. Adults or kids. But a nice bit of design, that.
There's one last thing I want to show you.
This is great, honestly. It can't get better than this, surely.
It can. Check this out, George. You're gonna love this.
Oh, my God. That is fantastic. It's like being in the Serengeti. But it's beautiful, isn't it? And the architecture, I have to say, it's really nicely done, isn't it?
It's great because it could easily be a sort of fake kind of pastiche, but actually they've done it really sensitively.
Yeah. You can see where the timber just doesn't go down to the water. It's about 8 inches above, and it just looks like it's floating over the top. Even just a simple thing like having a covered veranda like this.
Yeah.
We don't normally do this in the UK. If you were in Africa, it would be protecting you from the scorching sun. But in this country, it's still brilliant, because when it's pouring with rain, you can still sit outside and look out over the view. The only thing is, mate, I can't see any animals.
Well, just look out there. Look at that, George. Wow.
She's beautiful. If anyone says to me, do you fancy going to the Serengeti on safari? I'll go, no, it's all right. You just have to go as far as Dudley. Save you a fortune.